There's a trap many of us fall into, and it's so subtle that we may not even realize we're caught in it. That trap is seeking validation from others. We live in a world where likes, followers, and comments have become the currency of self-worth. Every day, people are waiting for someone to tell them that they're good enough, smart enough, attractive enough, worthy enough. But let me tell you something. If you keep waiting for the world to approve of you, you'll be waiting your whole life. One of the most powerful lessons we can learn in life is the art of letting go, especially letting go of the past. Too many of us are trapped by our history, weighed down by regrets, mistakes, or the pain of what we've experienced. We carry it around like a burden, hoping that one day it'll just disappear, or that somehow reliving those moments will change what happened. But here's the truth: as long as you're holding on to the past, you're not living fully in the present. And if you're not fully present, you're not moving forward. Think about that for a second. We all go through things that leave marks on us: heartbreak, failure, betrayal, loss. These moments are tough, and they shape us in ways that can't be undone. But they don't have to define us. What happened yesterday, last year, or even a decade ago is over. It's written in stone, but it's not a stone you have to carry with you. Too often we get stuck replaying old scenarios in our heads, asking ourselves, what if, or if only I had done things differently. We beat ourselves up over decisions we can't change, or we stay angry at people who've hurt us, thinking that by holding on to that anger we'll somehow get justice or closure. But here's the hard truth. Replaying the past doesn't heal the wounds, it just keeps them fresh. It's like picking at a scab it never fully heals because you're not giving it the space and time to do so. When you hold on to the past, you are robbing yourself of the future. You can't reach for what's ahead if your hands are still clenched around what's behind you. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean that what happened didn't matter or that you weren't affected by it. Letting go simply means you're choosing peace over pain. You're choosing to release yourself from the chains that keep you bound to moments that no longer serve your growth. Here's something we don't often talk about. There's a certain comfort in holding on to the past. As painful as it may be, it's familiar, it's known territory. We cling to it because we fear the unknown of what's ahead. What if we let go and things don't get better? What if we move on and it doesn't work out? This fear of the unknown can paralyze us, making the past seem like a safer place to stay. But let me remind you of this: the past may be known, but it's over. The future is where possibility lives. Every new day is an opportunity to start fresh, to take what you've learned from the past and use it to build something better. But you can't do that if you're still dragging yesterday's baggage into today's journey. You are not the person you were back then. You are stronger. You are wiser. You have survived what you thought you couldn't. And that alone is proof that you are capable of moving forward. The lessons the past has taught you are valuable, but the pain that came with those lessons, you don't need that anymore. Here's the thing: life is always moving forward. Seasons change, people grow, circumstances shift. If you're holding on to the past, you're standing still in a world that keeps moving, and that's why you feel stuck. The key to living peacefully is to accept that you can't change the past, but you can choose how you respond to it. You can choose to let it go and make space for what's coming. So what will it be? Will you keep dragging the weight of old hurt, mistakes, or regrets with you? Or will you finally release it, knowing that what's ahead holds the peace you've been searching for? The time has come to stop holding on to what's behind you. Trust that what's in front of you is worth reaching for. Let go of the past, not because it wasn't important, but because your future deserves your full attention. Peace isn't found in rewriting yesterday's story, it's found in creating tomorrow's. Your past shaped you, but it doesn't have to confine you. Let go, and you'll find the freedom and peace you've been longing for, waiting just beyond the horizon. One of the most common traps people fall into is the habit of comparing themselves to others. Whether it's in
Let me
your
tell you, this
career, your
comparison is the
relationships, or
thief
your
of joy.
personal achievements, the instinct to measure
When you
yourself
compare
against
yourself to
someone
others,
else's
you
life
are
can
judging
feel
your own
almost
life against
automatic.
someone else's highlight reel.
But this habit, while easy
You're
to
looking
fall
at the
into,
surface of what
is one of the most
accomplished or what
destructive
they
forces
have
in our lives.
without
It
knowing the
robs
full
us of our
story of what
peace,
it
our
took for
joy,
them
and
to
our
get
sense of
there. You're
self-worth.
comparing your struggles with their success, and that's a battle you can never win. Here's something we all need to understand: your journey is unique. No one else is walking your path. No one else has your combination of experiences, challenges, and dreams. So why would you measure your life by someone else's yardstick? The truth is, you are enough just as you are. You don't need to be like anyone else. You don't need to achieve what someone else has achieved to feel worthy. Your value is not determined by how you stack up next to the person standing next to you. The problem with comparison is that it distracts you from your own purpose. When you're constantly focused on what someone else is doing, you lose sight of your own path. You start chasing Let's talk about
goals that aren't
social
even
media
yours,
for a minute,
simply
because it's one of the
you think you
biggest
need to keep
catalysts
up.
for comparison in today's world.
But living a life that's not aligned
Every
with
day
your
we
own
scroll through
values and
images of
desires
people
will never
living
bring
their
you
best
peace or
lives,
fulfillment.
vacations, new cars,
You weren't
promotions,
put on this
perfect
earth to be a
families. All of it
second-rate version of
can make
someone
us
else.
feel like we're not measuring up.
You were put here to be the best
But
version
remember,
of you.
social media is a curated space. People share their highlights, not their struggles. You don't see the hard work, the failures, or the doubts that come with those successes. So stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's carefully edited version of reality. Comparison is not just a thief of joy, it's a distraction from the blessings that are already in your life. When you're so focused on what someone else has, you fail to appreciate what you have. You overlook your own progress, your own wins, because you're too busy worrying about whether someone else is ahead of you. But life isn't a race. There's no finish line you're trying to reach faster than anyone else. There's only your journey, your growth, and your story. You also have to understand that everyone's timeline is different. Just because someone else achieves something at a certain age or stage in their life doesn't mean you're behind. Your time is coming. And when it does, it will be perfectly aligned with where you're meant to be. Comparing yourself to others only leads to feelings of inadequacy and impatience, when in reality, the only timeline that matters is your own. Letting go of comparison means choosing to celebrate your own journey no matter where you are. It means recognizing that you are exactly where you need to be right now, and that your story is unfolding at its own perfect pace. Stop looking to the left and the right, and start focusing on what's right in front of you. When you stop comparing, you can finally appreciate the beauty of your own progress. So how do you stop comparing yourself to others? You start by practicing gratitude. Take a moment each day to acknowledge what you've accomplished, no matter how small it may seem. Celebrate your own wins instead of focusing on someone else's. Remind yourself that their success does not diminish your own. There's enough room in this world for all of us to succeed. In the end, the only person you should be competing with is the person you were yesterday. Strive to be better than you were before, not better than someone else. Your only true measure of success is your personal growth, your happiness, and your peace of mind. So stop comparing, start embracing your own journey, and trust that everything is unfolding for you exactly as it should. Remember, you are enough just as you are. Focus on your own path and let the comparison go. In that release, you'll find the peace and contentment that have been waiting for you all along. In the fast-paced world we live in, self-care often feels like a luxury we can't afford. We're constantly bombarded with responsibilities, work, family, friends, and endless to-do lists. But here's the truth: self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Yet, so many of us continue to neglect it. We push ourselves to the brink of exhaustion, giving our energy to everything and everyone else, while ignoring our own needs. This kind of neglect doesn't just drain us physically, it drains us emotionally and mentally too. Think about that for a moment. If you are constantly giving without taking time to replenish yourself, eventually you'll run dry. And when you reach that point, it's not just you who suffers. The people you care about, the goals you're working toward, the dreams you want to fulfill, they all suffer too, because you're not showing up as your best self. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential for your well-being and for you to continue giving your best to the world. Too many of us wear busyness as a badge of honor. We equate running ourselves into the ground with being productive. We think that if we're not hustling every second of the day, we're falling behind. But let me tell you something: rest is productive.
Taking care of yourself is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It takes courage to step back and say, I need to pause. I need to recharge. When you invest in yourself, you're investing in your future. You're making sure that you have the energy, focus, and resilience to keep moving forward. There's a misconception that self-care is all about indulgence, spa days, vacations, or treating yourself to something nice. And while those things are great, true self-care goes much deeper. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, and creating space for the things that nourish your mind, body, and soul. It's about getting enough sleep, eating foods that fuel you, and exercising not just to look good, but to feel good. Self-care is about creating balance in your life, making sure that you're not constantly operating on empty. When you neglect self-care, stress builds up. You become more prone to burnout, anxiety, and even physical illness. Your mind gets cluttered, your focus diminishes, and your creativity suffers. You may find yourself feeling overwhelmed, irritable, or just plain exhausted, wondering why nothing seems to be going right. The truth is, you cannot be your best self if you're not taking care of yourself. But here's the thing, self-care is a choice. It's not something that magically happens when life slows down or when you find more time. You have to prioritize it even in the midst of chaos. You have to make the conscious decision that your well-being matters. And here's where many of us get stuck. We think we don't have time for self-care. We think there's too much to do, and we can't possibly fit it in. But the reality is, if you don't make time for your wellness now, you'll be forced to make time for illness later. When you start practicing self-care, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel more balanced, more at peace. You'll have the energy to tackle your challenges with a clearer mind and a calmer spirit. You'll be able to give more of yourself to the people and things that matter because you're not running on fumes. Self-care fills your cup so that you can continue to pour into others without depleting yourself. So how do you begin? Start small. Carve out just 10 minutes a day to do something that rejuvenates you, whether it's meditation, a walk in nature, journaling, or simply sitting in silence. As you build this habit, expand it. Set boundaries that protect your time and energy. Say no to things that drain you and yes to things that nourish you. Remember, self-care isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about taking steps, however small, to prioritize your well-being. At the end of the day, your health is your wealth. You can't achieve your goals, fulfill your dreams, or take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself. Stop neglecting your needs in the name of being busy. Stop putting everyone and everything else ahead of your own well-being. You deserve to feel whole, rested, and at peace. And it starts with making self-care a priority. Take care of yourself because no one else can do it for you. You are worthy of that time, that attention, and that love. Make the commitment today to stop neglecting self-care and watch how your life begins to transform. In that simple act of honoring yourself, you'll find the peace, energy, and joy you've been searching for all along. Fear of failure is one of the greatest obstacles that stands between people and their dreams. It's that little voice in the back of your mind that whispers, what if I'm not good enough? What if I don't make it? What if I fail? And too often, that voice keeps us stuck in a place of inaction. We're so afraid of failing that we don't even try. But here's the truth, failure is not the opposite of success, it's a part of it. Here's something we often forget, failure is not final. It's just feedback. It's a signal that something didn't go the way you planned, but that doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you have the opportunity to adjust, to adapt, and to try again. Think of failure as a stepping stone, not a roadblock. Each failure teaches you something valuable, what works, what doesn't, where you need to improve. In that way, failure is a teacher. It's part of the learning process, and without it, you won't get the lessons you need to succeed. We're afraid of failure because we tie our sense of self-worth to the outcome. We think that if we fail, it means we're not good enough, or that we'll be judged by others. But here's a freeing realization: you are not your failures. Your worth doesn't come from whether you succeed or fail, it comes from who you are and how you respond when things don't go your way. Failing doesn't make you less deserving or less capable. It simply means you took a risk, and that in itself is a victory. About fear for a moment. The fear of failure is often rooted in the fear of the unknown. What will happen if I fail? Will I be able to recover? Will others think less of me? But here's something to remember: the pain of regret is far greater than the pain of failure. When you avoid taking risks because you're afraid of failing, you rob yourself of the chance to learn, grow, and achieve something great. But when you try and fail, you at least know you gave it your all. There is peace in knowing you faced your fear and took the leap no matter the outcome. The fear of failure also keeps us from discovering our true potential. We are capable of so much more than we realize, but we'll never know it if we don't push past the fear and test our limits. The moments in life where you feel challenged, stretched, and maybe even a little scared are the moments where real growth happens. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. When you embrace failure as a part of the journey, you begin to see that every setback is a setup for a comeback. The greatest successes are often born out of the greatest failures. Think of the inventors, the leaders, the visionaries throughout history. They didn't succeed on the first try. They failed sometimes over and over again, but they kept going. They didn't fear failure because they knew it was part of the process. And that's exactly what you need to embrace. Failure is not the end of the road, it's just a bend in the path. How do you stop fearing failure? You shift your mindset. Instead of viewing failure as something to avoid at all costs, see it as a stepping stone toward success. Embrace it as a natural part of any worthwhile journey. Recognize that failure is temporary, but the lessons you learn from it are invaluable. When you stop fearing failure, you open yourself up to greater possibilities, to risks that lead to rewards, and to a life lived without regrets. Don't let the fear of failure stop you from achieving your dreams. Failure is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It's proof that you're trying, that you're growing, and that you're moving towards something greater. The only true failure is not trying at all. So take the risk, fail if you must, but keep moving forward. Your success is on the other side of your fear. In life, we often encounter individuals who drain our energy, undermine our confidence, and contribute little to our overall happiness. These are the toxic people, the ones who leave us feeling worse than before, whose presence is more harmful than helpful. Yet, despite recognizing the detrimental effects they have on our lives, many of us remain afraid to let them go. We hesitate, clinging to familiar connections that no longer serve our well-being, often fearing loneliness, confrontation, or the consequences of severing ties. But let me tell you this: the fear of letting go of toxic people can often be more damaging than the toxicity itself. Let's start with the truth. You deserve relationships that uplift you, inspire you, and encourage you to grow. When you surround yourself with individuals who consistently bring negativity, drama, or criticism into your life, you hinder your own ability to thrive. Toxic relationships often create an emotional burden that weighs you down, leaving you feeling drained, anxious, or even depressed. The reality is, you cannot live your best life when you're continually surrounded by people who do not align with your values, dreams, or aspirations. The first step in letting go of toxic people is to recognize the signs. These individuals often display manipulative behavior, constant criticism, or a lack of support. They may belittle your achievements, create unnecessary drama, or make you feel guilty for prioritizing your needs. The energy you invest in these relationships could be better spent nurturing the connections that bring positivity and joy into your life. You might find yourself asking, but what if I lose them, or what if I hurt their feelings? It's natural to have concerns about how letting go will affect others. However, it's essential to prioritize your mental and emotional health over the discomfort of difficult conversations. Understand that you cannot be responsible for how others react to your decision to create boundaries. It's not your job to fix or save everyone around you, especially those who bring toxicity into your life. One of the biggest fears we face in letting go of toxic relationships is the fear of loneliness. We often equate being alone with being lonely, but the truth is that solitude can be a source of empowerment. When you let go of toxic people, you create space in your life for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. You give yourself the opportunity to attract individuals who appreciate you for who you are, who support you, and who genuinely care about your well-being. It's important to remember that letting go doesn't always mean cutting someone out entirely. Sometimes it means establishing boundaries that protect your energy. You can choose to limit your interactions or distance yourself emotionally from those who bring negativity into your life while still maintaining a cordial relationship. This might look like reducing the time you spend with them or setting clear limits on what behaviors you will tolerate. By asserting your boundaries, you take back control of your life and emotional space. When you decide to let go of toxic people, you make room for personal growth. You'll find that when you're not caught up in the chaos of toxic dynamics, you have the energy and mental clarity to focus on your goals and aspirations. You can invest time in relationships that nurture and support your journey. You'll rediscover your passions, enhance your well-being, and cultivate a life that aligns with your values. Now, I want you to consider this: every time you choose to let go of someone who drains your spirit, you're making a powerful statement to yourself about your worth. You're declaring that you deserve better, that you will no longer settle for relationships that diminish your light. That is a profound act of self-love and self-respect. As you navigate your relationships, remember this: you have the power to choose who you allow in your life. Stop being afraid to let go of toxic people. Embrace the freedom that comes from creating a life filled with positivity, support, and love. You are worthy of healthy, nurturing relationships that inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Let go of the toxic ties that bind you and watch as your life transforms for the better. Your peace, happiness, and growth depend on it. In conclusion, embracing a life of peace and fulfillment requires us to take intentional steps towards self-improvement. We must stop seeking validation from others, holding on to the past, comparing ourselves to others, neglecting self-care, fearing failure, and being afraid to let go of toxic people. Each of these habits serves as a barrier to our happiness and growth, but by recognizing and addressing them, we open ourselves to a brighter, more authentic existence. Choosing to prioritize our well-being and values is an act of courage that empowers us to cultivate a life filled with genuine connection, self-love, and personal growth. As we shed the weight of these negative influences, we create space for positivity and fulfillment. Remember, the journey to a more peaceful life starts with small, deliberate actions. By taking control of our choices, we can design a life that reflects our true selves, allowing us to shine brightly and thrive. Thank you for joining me on this journey of reflection and growth. Let's commit to making these changes together and embrace the peace that lies ahead.